Hi there. From the Nairobi Securities Exchange, crossing 4 trillion Kenya shillings for the first time, to Safaricom and Airtel engaging in wallet wars. Those are some of the business news which I want to cover today. Today is 4th of August. And in our business news, I want us to look at 8 stories. Top stories in the business world in Kenya. You are all much welcomed. Let's delve right in it. And the first story is about the NSE crossing 4 trillion Kenya shillings value for the first time. What does this news entail? It entails the NSE, which is the Nairobi Securities Exchange, having surpassed 4 trillion Kenya shillings in market capitalization for the first time, which is indicating that the listed companies at the NSE are on the upward trajectory, and the milestone has been driven by strong gains in the banking sector stocks, Safaricom, and continued investor confidence in the market in general. Why is this news important? It is important because it signals growing confidence in Kenya's economy and capital markets from both local and foreign investors. And also, it signals that large stock market makes it easier for companies to raise for capital for expansion and job creation, which of course do benefit the economy. So you could be sitting there wondering, how is this beneficial to you directly? First and foremost, if you are an investor in the NSE shares or stocks, your portfolio may have benefited from the ongoing market rally. Simply put, the shares you invested in are most likely seeing share price appreciation. And secondly, it reinforces the long-term investing in quality Kenyan companies, which can assist you build wealth. So in case you are an investor, it reinforces long-term investing, which can assist you build wealth. That is the first news story. The second news story is about Airtel and Safaricom intensifying business wallet price war. What does the news entail? Airtel and Safaricom are competing aggressively by lowering charges on their business mobile money services. And this news entails this competition being aimed at attracting more small and medium enterprises and merchants onto their platform. Remember, each and every day in Kenya, SMEs are the ones which run the economy. And so if these corporates can attract them to their business mobile money, each of them is looking to do that. Why is this important? It is important because of increased competition, which usually leads to lower transaction costs and better services for businesses. So hopefully we see that war pushing the prices down and down, which is going to assist businesses make more margin. And then the second importance of this is that mobile money remains the backbone of payments for thousands of Kenyan businesses. So in case there's reduced costs, it's going to mean more and more businesses are going to be able to afford mobile money transfer as a way of them being in business through mobile payments. In case you are sitting there wondering, how is this beneficial to you directly as an individual? It is beneficial because, first and foremost, business owners could save money on transaction fees each and every month in case you have a business. And then the second thing is that lower costs can improve profits, especially for small businesses that process many daily payments, okay? If there is a small business out there which processes payments daily, this reduction could be very important. And even the benefit of this could be transferred to customers through also possibly reduced prices where applicable. And then the third key news coming out of Kenya today is that Kenya's electricity imports surpass local wind generation. Guys, this news is an interesting one because it basically means Kenya is now importing more electricity from neighboring countries than it's generating from its own wind farms. And this news also entails that this is showing us how the imports of electricities are really evolving in the country, because it points to the demand for electricity having increased. Therefore, also there's hope that this can reflect also in different aspects. Okay? And why is this important? It highlights Kenya's increasing reliance on regional power trade to stabilize electricity supply. In case there's a surge of supply, Kenya is relying also on regional electricity to be able to stabilize the supply in the country. And also another importance of this is that it also raises a question about the future investments in local renewable energy products, Because if Kenya is importing more than it's doing wind generation, what does it mean? In case you are there as an individual or even a business, how is this beneficial to you directly? It is beneficial to you because more stable electricity supply can reduce outages in the country for both homes and businesses, which is a key thing more so for those businesses which are relying on electricity each and every day. And secondly, reliable power supply supports economic growth and business productivity. We can't deny that because in case we have full supply of electricity full time, it's going to really assist the businesses out there to thrive. And then the fourth biggest business news coming out of Kenya today is that investors have pumped upwards of 9 billion Kenya shillings on Kenya's insurance tech startups. Guys, this is an exciting one, right? Because Kenya is a buzzing economy when it comes to tech. And so regarding to this news, relating to this news directly, is that investors have injected 9 billion Kenya shillings into Kenya's insurance technology startups. And this funding is expected to accelerate digital insurance products and innovation. Simply put, they are looking at also enhancing financial access from the lens of financial risk protection. Why is this important? It is important because it shows how international investors still view Kenya as a leading technology hub in Africa. And also, digital insurance can make insurance products cheaper and easily accessible to many people. Case in point, like the way M-Pesa is accessible and cheap to many people out there, also insurance products could be the same and at the end ensure enhanced financial risk protection. You as an individual out there, how is this news beneficial to you or how is it important? It is important because it's gonna assist consumers be able to enjoy simpler, faster, and more affordable insurance services. And secondly, the insurance sector could also create new jobs, technology, and financial services, which basically mean more people out there could be able to access employment. And then the fifth biggest business news coming out of Kenya today is that there's a company linked to Awori that has won 8 billion current land appeal. Guys, there is an interesting news around this. You know, we all know about the Awori family, of course, a very influential family in the country. And this news entails a company associated with won a legal appeal involving prime land in Karen worth about 8 billion Kenya shillings. The ruling settles a significant commercial land dispute in the country, which of course has been there for some time. And this is important because major court decisions influence investor confidence in Kenya's property market. So in case investors out there are seeing, maybe like this news is just, right? There are individuals who are able to get favorable ruling when it comes to property ruling in the country. It can boost investors' confidence. And also, legal uncertainty is critical for large real estate investments. So in case there's such legal certainty or issues are resolved, it also boosts confidence and gets that particular sector to have more and more clarity. In case you're out there as an individual, how is this news beneficial to you? Two things. First way is beneficial is that it signals stronger protection of property rights, encourages more investment and development from even individuals because they know their property rights are protected by the laws in the country. And secondly, increased investment can create employment opportunities in construction and related costs out there. Related sectors out there. And I'm saying so because typically when there is disputes relating to given property out there, typically there's something called a stay order, which simply freezes any developments in that particular property until a court ruling is done. So in case of such a major kind of like real estate property whose clarity is now very certain, then it can at least ease the way for development to happen, which in return can actually create even employment for people out there. And then the sixth biggest business news coming out of Kenya today is that Kenya has been flagged over mobile money fraud risk. Guys, we all know Kenya is at the frontier in Africa when it comes to mobile money. And this news basically means is that Kenya and a few other East Africa countries have been flagged over increasing mobile money fraud concerns. And regulators are expected to strengthen anti-fraud and anti-money laundering measures because, of course, we all know a huge ton of money is moved each and every day through mobile money. And this is important because Mobile money, for example, in Kenya is central to Kenya's financial system, making fraud prevention a national priority. Lots of money is moving through mobile each and every day, okay? Therefore, stronger oversight helps protect consumers and maintain confidence in digital payments. Given there's stronger protection which can be in place, then it means digital payments are going to be more safe and individuals are going to be protected. So if you are out there wondering, how is this news directly beneficial to you, right? First and foremost, users could benefit from stronger security and better protection against scams. That's something which we need to be protected against, because we all have been called by some people out there saying, hey, send money to this particular number instead of this other number, or even just outrightly try to call us to con us of money. So stronger protection can really help you avoid scams. And secondly, stronger protection can also assist or remind us to stay alert, and safeguard our mobile money accounts. Such kind of news tells us things out there are not that very rosy. So we need to be very, very vigilant too to protect our money. Okay? And then the seventh biggest news coming out of the business world in Kenya today is that banks expect CBK to hold interest rates. Look, guys, the interest rate which you charged out there as a consumer or an individual typically stems from something called bank rate from the Central Bank of Kenya. And then now the individual banks do add something on top to determine the interest rate which they're going to charge on their financing. So this news basically entails Kenya banks expect the Central Bank of Kenya to keep its benchmark interest rate unchanged due to global economic uncertainty. Okay? And there's been concerns over geopolitical tensions, okay, and how they are influencing monetary policies, expectations. So banks are expecting the CBK to maintain. And why is this important? It is important because interest rates affect cost of loans. Interest rates affect mortgages. Interest rates affect business financing, and they even affect savings returns, okay? Therefore, stable rates provide predictability for businesses and households. Simply put, businesses and also individuals can plan much better. How does this directly benefit you out there? First way it benefits you is that borrowers will be less likely to see sudden increase in loan repayments. And that is important because as a country, we use a given loan regime which is typically called floating or variable loan. Simply put, any drastic change in CBK bank rate, it basically means also the banks are going to push that cost to you as a consumer. Therefore, you might see your repayment move upwards. So this stability could be very important because it's going to ensure stability, And then secondly, investors and businesses can plan with greater confidence. Most when it comes to issues financing, they can plan knowing very well their finances are going to be in order and they won't see very huge spikes when it comes to any requirements around capital and the costs of capital. And then guys, the eighth and last big business news coming out of Kenya today, which I want to talk about, is that Treasury plans to clean up domestic debt data. What do I mean? Of course, we all know the National Treasury has borrowed both locally and also borrowed outside the country. So Treasury is looking to clean up domestic debt data. And this entails the National Treasury is going to review and clean up Kenya's domestic debt records to improve accuracy and transparency. And secondly, this exercise is aimed to strengthen public debt management. More so, we're talking about the local debt, okay, or domestic debt. Why is this important? It is important because accurate debt records improve government's planning and strengthen investors' confidence. And secondly, better debt management supports Kenya's long-term fiscal stability. Because if the country can plan very well, it could be quite unstable fiscally. But if it plans very well, it's going to really go towards supporting long-term fiscal stability. So in case you are out there, how does this benefit you directly? First and foremost, improved public financing can lead to better government services over time. Because remember, these systems in government are integrated, okay? And secondly, greater transparency helps build confidence in the country's economic management, right? And if there's confidence in the country's economic management, it basically means you as an individual and also as a country will benefit from investors' confidence, which will trickle down to the grassroots over time. Guys, those are the 8 biggest business news coming out of Kenya today. Which one is your favorite? Comment down below in the comment section. Let's continue engaging. Cheers, guys, and you all stay safe.